Welcome to Egghead's Barbecue and Grill mobile kitchen build. We are working on the propane system, and you can see we have a whole new hole in the trailer. Cutting holes in this thing is always a little nerve-wracking. That one was a little nerve-wracking there. The roof vent that you can see up there, that was nerve-wracking, because it's hard to undo cutting a gigantic hole in your metal trailer. So we have this backing in place called stove board. It's basically a fiber ceramic type thing coated with a thin sheet of sheet metal, basically, that's in this case made to look like bricks. But there's our hole from the inside this time, and that's where we're going to mount the vent for the propane heater. We have a little bit of Frankensteinian work we've done to reduce this 6-inch duct down to a 3-inch pipe, because we're basically going to use we're going to try to reinvent as few things as possible, and in this case we're going to rely on the good folks who run pellet stoves and the companies that make stuff for them. So we're going to use a pellet stove vent on the outside of the trailer, and we're going to connect it all up with 3-inch insulated Duravent pipe, and it's going to run through another air channel in this little connector here. So the 3-inch pipe will come through there, and there's this roughly 7-inch other pipe that it's going to be sitting in, so that as it goes through the wall, it just reduces the chance that any contact with building material is going to get too hot. So it's all about safety. So we have our little heater, and this is just one of those standard hang it outside, run propane tank and a hose, and you get hot water for your pool or whatever. It's going to work pretty well for our purposes, because we're going to vent it to the outside through this. And now we just have to, now that we have our hole, we have to hook everything up. Oh, hey, you can see stuff through this hole. There's the truck. All right, so that's the plan. We will start putting the parts together and see how it looks. Okay, well, we've got the first piece on. This is from the outside, obviously, and in between the little flange unit, I guess you'd call it, and the trailer wall, we've got some sealant behind all the screws, and we'll put a bead of silicone, around there just to keep it waterproof. And you'll see the screws. I've discovered a mathematical law, I think. The number of screws that will fall from your little perch is inversely proportional to the number of screws that you have remaining. So when I had, all 10 or 12 screws there, I'd lose, 1 or 2 every once in a while. But when I was down to the last 3, I seemed to drop them all the time. So interesting mathematical law. So we've put some tabs on the inside of this. All we're going to do is fold them over to help secure it in here. And then we've got the inside piece that'll butt up into there. And then we should be able to start finagling all the pipe. So let's see how all that comes together. Okay, we've folded those tabs over just to help keep that outside piece in place. And we've cut this guy down. Not it's not pretty, but it doesn't matter, because that part, it doesn't really do anything. It's just gonna sit in open space. So let's put this in place. Twink. More or less straighten it up. And ta-da! We've got the inside little flange thing, or whatever you call it. So cool. Okay, so we've mounted our little stovepipe that's going to go through the hole over there to our vent gizmo that we've put together to reduce it down to all the right size. So that's kind of cool. That's all in place and secure. And you notice these Duravent things have notches. So these line up. We'll show you so here's the actual vent that's going to be on the outside. This also has notches, or tabs, you can see them. So the tabs line up with the notches, you know, slot A, tab A, that sort of thing. And it will basically it's going to hold the vent on from the outside. So that meant that if you want it in the right direction, you have to make sure that this is rotated to the right position. So I made a little mark over on the wall, right here, just to make sure that everything lines up. And sure enough, when I test fitted it, the marks were fine. So we should be okay on the outside when we actually install a vent for it to be all lined up appropriately. So that's cool. So all we have to do is kind of put this in here, put a little block down on the bottom just to act as a little stub to keep the bottom in place and far enough away from this stove board. And then we should be pretty much good to go. Let's get all that in place. Okay, well, there she is. We've got this going to the outside with a 3-inch pipe inside of all that stuff. And then down here we have our little blocker, just a little 2x4 for now. We'll put a piece of metal there. And then the heater is installed here. We've got our hookups ready to go for cold in and hot out, and the propane. And then this guy will supply us with some nice hot water for the trailer. Sweet! Propane's almost ready to go. We just need to do some hookups. So, all right, nice progress today. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.